Hi everyone, I just wanted to check in with you again. I'm going to give you a little quick lesson on conflict resolution. Everyone's doing very well on the assignments. Please keep up the good work and keep submitting those. It's very important that you stay on top of that. I hope the tests are also going well. So for a few minutes, I just want to talk about conflict resolution, a topic from chapter 6 that I think is well worth spending on just a few minutes to chat about. There's an exercise on page 222 of your textbook called Identify Your Conflict Resolution Style. And I'd like you to go through that, identify your style, and see if you agree with that style or not. There are basically 5 styles. The first style is forcing. How we identify the styles is we ask ourselves, how assertive are you? How cooperative you are? If you're extremely assertive, then you would pick a forcing style. And a forcing style, I don't know if any of you are this style. Some of us, we have to use all of these styles at different points in our lifetime. And some of us go to this style as the default style most of the time. And forcing is when you have to win. So when you have to win and someone has to lose. Some of you have small children. There's a time when you have to be forcing and you'd have to say you can't run out into the road. So that's you need to be forcing. But you don't want to be forcing all the time because that means you feel you have to win, the other person has to lose, even when you might be wrong. An opposite style to that would be yielding. And with yielding it's when you give in and you feel, well, the other person has to win and I have to lose. So what you're going to do is you give up too often. Now, there is a time for that. If it's someone you care about a lot, and most of you in relationships, there's a time where you don't want to be right and destroy a relationship. There's a time where it might be better just to give in and yield, let the other person win. You can't do that all the time, and some people find that they do that all the time. So you flex between the styles. It's about learning flexibility. Another style is avoidance. You can look at all of these in the text, and I can't put the chart up for you right now, but please do that. An avoidance style is where you constantly avoid arguments. Some people, depending upon how they've grown up and their lives and backgrounds, tend to avoid confrontation and avoid conflict. The problem with that style is when you avoid, when you walk away, when you don't say what's on your mind, and you've got to do it politely, respectfully, is that you lose and the other person loses because they don't know what the problem is and you're not willing to address it. So there is a time to avoid it when emotions are running too high. You never want to be in an argument with someone where something terrible could result, violence. Who knows what it could be? You could get fired because your boss or the client, it's just not the time to have conflict. So you avoid it. Compromise is the one that most people think is the best form, but compromising actually produces 2 losers. You may be surprised to hear that because most people will say, oh, compromise, that's the way to go. But compromise means I give something up, you give something up. That means we both lose something. It's not ideal. There is a time, though, when you have to do that, when you reach an impasse and you realize we're not going to get anywhere here, so we'll compromise. Ideally, though, problem solving, where you're cooperative and assertive and the other person is, and you're saying, we're going to stick with this until you get everything you want and I get everything I want. That, of course, is the ideal situation. Easily said, but not easily done. But that's what should be strived for. Most people go immediately to compromise for some reason, and I don't know why that is the case. Students will say to me over many years, that's the first place they go. They'll say, what will you give me if I give you something and you give me something? Think, no, that creates 2 losers. It's a very difficult concept for people to understand. So if you would tackle the exercise on page 222, see what your predominant style is, see what you can learn, and ask yourself, how could I flex to those other styles? I'd like to show you a little magic trick. If any of you have children, you could show this to them. Here's how it works. You come into the course. You're not a blank slate, even though that's what I might have said, a blank slate. You fill in the lines. No, it's not the case. A course like organizational behavior, you already know something about conflict. You're adults in your life, you have some frameworks. You've shaped this. You understand how it works. When you start to reflect and you look at these various styles, you start to analyze a little bit and become a little more sophisticated about it. And then what happens is not only does it start to take shape, you start to fill it all in. And it starts to have some color, some texture, some emotion, some value. Thanks very much, folks. I hope you're enjoying organizational behavior. Until next time, all the best. Cheers.